Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of hairless cats. San Francisco Refused. Yes, that's right. We get to talk about Refused. Today's guest is the wonderful DK, also known as Daniel Kutch from Maven in San Francisco. I present this interview for you just in time for his guest bartending stint tomorrow night, April 7th, at the Townsend on Congress Avenue. Of course, you should go to the Townsend anyway, but Thursday night, April 7th, is even more special occasion as Daniel works and represents some Remy Cointreau Collectif 1806. It's kind of like this project of education, cocktail ingredients. He brings us 3 cocktails, 2 stirred, 1 shaken, and all I can say is that there's a nori foam. So you want to hear about some nori foam, hardcore music, and pizzerias? Well, I hope you guys enjoy this chat with Daniel Kutch.
His name's Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't think the joke's too soon to say. I mean, he's a hairless cat. He's a big pile of skin. His name's Jeffrey Dahmer.
He's I see the connection.
Yeah, it's kind of morbid,
clever.
But I think it's past the too soon frame.
I would think it'd be like more of a burn victim thing.
Yeah.
You know, like that would make more sense. You're talking about politically incorrect.
Man,
now,
yeah.
frankly, I don't know of any burn victims, but
enough,
you could, Rocky Dennis. You could call him Rocky Dennis, which would be another good name.
Well, he has a lot of nicknames, so we might have to add that to the collection that he's growing.
And he's bleak and gray, just like Wisconsin.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Where the wonderful Jeffrey Dahmer resided.
Absolutely. I think they came from close to there. I think the Sphinx breed originated near Ontario or something. So
really?
Fair enough, right?
Man, there's a weird parallel being drawn here. Mm-hmm. I'm actually a little bit uncomfortable with it.
We might be onto something.
So, how many... Is like Austin your home away from home? I mean, I know you're out of California and San Francisco, but again, you were here a couple years ago. Did you end up doing a stage when you were here?
I was trying. I mean, I reached out. At the time I was extremely new into my role, like especially making cocktails and being in that craft bartending scene. So
yeah,
I think that I really aspired to do it, especially in a town like you were saying. Like it is a second home. I've come here at least once a year, usually twice or more.
No kidding. I had no idea you came in so much.
Yeah, for about 7 years now, and it's just like I definitely draw a lot of parallels to where I'm living now in San Francisco. You have a really great interaction with lots of people that are really willing to talk and open-minded and want to hear about what you're doing objectively to what they're doing. And it's just like the food and the drink and the community that you feel is very, very similar to what I
Except we have a hell of a lot more
San
space.
Francisco. Yeah, exactly.
We're not as snooty. I mean, we can be. Don't get me wrong. We can be snooty.
It definitely has its thing. I mean, San Francisco, there's a lot of like air that comes with it. That whole level of competition when you're piling each other on top of one another 7 by 7 miles. It's it gets a little cutthroat, and there's definitely some people have hurt feelings and pockets because of it. But I'm one of the lucky people. I'm like, hopefully we stay that way.
Do you kind of, do you kind of view the industry? And this is an interesting thing. I hadn't thought about it before. So here's something that's happening in Texas. Just for your background, right? So there are a lot of bartenders. There's a lot of people that can make cocktails and things, but for some reason the staffing and the kitchen staff, it's a huge shortage. Like no one can find the right staff for the kitchen. You guys experiencing that too?
Oh yeah, I think that's a nationwide problem. I think I've seen at least 3 or 4 articles this past year from great star chefs, multiple different accolades, and all of them are coming up with the same thing, saying, you know, all these great restaurants and all these great cocktail bars, whatever they may be, come in, and the saturation creates a problem for really great work than people that want to be enthusiastic about where they are. It's a hard thing. It's a really tough balance because you have a market of people that can sell themselves to different places, and they have the options all over the place.
No one wants to commit to anything, do they?
I think
it's
that
like the dating pool.
I love committing to my spot. I'm really lucky in a lot of ways. So Maven's a great home for me for that. But a lot of people love also to challenge themselves and do multiple different things. So I think individually it's different. Like person to person, you're probably going to see a different approach to what they eventually want as an outcome from their bartending or from their being behind the line in the kitchen.
How old are you now?
I'm 25.
25. I hear that you're like this young, kind of ambitious kid. No, and that's not to be derogatory.
I like kid.
But that's insane to be. You're staging fucking at the Townsend, which is
I know, and I didn't really know how big of shoes I was stepping into until the people started explaining to me, like, man, that's going to be awesome. My mom even texted me and was like, you realize how nice this place is?
There's going to be a news crew there. Yeah. That's a big fucking deal.
Yeah, so I'm excited. There's a news crew coming? No. Oh, shit. Is there? I didn't know.
No, I'm sorry. Instagram videos.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, I'll take that.
It's publicly sourced news.
Tag me.
So 25, that's pretty amazing. And so, man, I want to go back a little bit then because you're a California native. We were talking a little bit earlier. You said Redwood City?
Yeah, I was born in Redwood City. But I would say I'm definitely more by way of Sacramento. That's where I grew up. That's where my parents still live. I first started working in restaurants in Sacramento. So
how is the sleepy town of Sacramento?
That's where I'm going to... It's actually funny to go back to what we were just talking about. The comparisons that I draw from Austin to San Francisco also come in with Sacramento, where I grew up. It's very much the layout and the feel of being on a river and having so much like recreation around. And actually, sometimes the weather patterns can be very similar between Austin and Sacramento.
It gets really hot there.
Very hot. You're trapped in the valley, so lots of that hot air gets stuck. And in the winter, it's lots of cold air gets stuck as well. But when it's hot, it's a very dry heat. Here, I've been down here, and it's a very different kind of heat. Yeah. It mugs you up, and it definitely bogs you down. So...
well, what kind of stuff were you like? So you start doing, hospitality and everything because we all start kind of somewhere, which is always this interesting. It's always because of a girl, or it's always because of a band, or it's always because we drop at art school. But
my older sister, I was umpiring softball games at like 15 years old, and I really wanted to break into my sister's really awesome Chicago pizza restaurant she was working at.
What was she doing?
She was a server there. She was just, she was going through college, so she was trying to make the biggest bang for her buck at a really awesome restaurant, and it was just amazing. Selling pizza is a really great way to make good money if you're in the restaurant setting for it, because overhead's high. You got dough, sauce, vegetables, and deli meat, and then like if you mess it up, like your manager's gonna get mad, but they know their overhead's there. Yeah, they can make 6 of those same pizzas before they're in the red. Yeah, exactly. So it was fun. I was like, I kept begging, and well, not begging, but I was definitely knocking down their manager's door, and he didn't like me because I was so small. I was like 5'6" until my senior year of high school. So at 16, I'm walking in, and I'm like, hey man, like I really, really want to work here. And my sister kept putting in the word for me, and he just like shamelessly was telling me no for at least...
Just because you thought you were too runty?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
And like
is he like a true like Italian guy that's like...
but he was definitely like I would say like, I guess it's like he's definitely more of like a movie character in a chain, like in a chain restaurant management position. He would fit perfectly in that role, like kind of bigger dude, goatee, crappy haircut. He was that guy. I'm like, bless his heart, he knew how to run the business pretty well until later on. That's a whole different conversation for a whole different podcast. But yeah, like I stepped in there and I started bussing tables. Man, it was nuts because everything is so heavy and like the deep dish pans and like everything like that. I'm just like clearing tables of 15 or 20, and it was. What
are you doing? So I'm trying to get like a sense because you've got amazing tattoos.
Yeah.
And softball players, and I hate to be stereotypical, but I don't know a lot of softball players that have a shit ton of tattoos.
Well, I wasn't playing softball. No, I was umpiring softball games for money. I was like my first job at 15 years old.
Softball.
I was umping softball games for the girls' softball league in my town. $25 a game.
That's amazing.
Under the table, and they fed me a hot dog and a bag of chips between my 4 games.
And you're hanging out with female softball players.
And yeah, lots of like great softball moms. It was good. It was a good time to be 15 years old. It was great.
That's amazing. Were you ever into like what kinds of things really did you take interest in high school? Arts, math, science? Yeah, definitely. I was actually really into student government and super active with like school stuff initially. I played freshman football even though I was runty and barely played. I mean, I made a couple tackles and a couple catches, but that was about it. And then beyond that, like I definitely took a huge liking into music. Music definitely carried me through a lot of playing
high school.
Or just listening, or
a little bit dabbling with playing, but a lot of my friends were active in like hardcore music and death metal music and like just playing a bunch of like shows at churches and they get shut off for swearing. It was just like the only way to outlet being a kid and just like having fun. So
it's amazing.
That's where like the tattoo influence and everything comes in there for sure.
What kind of because that was a huge part of my upbringing too, listening to hardcore, going to those shows.
Oh yeah,
pushed around, get beat up.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with straight edge kids in Salt Lake City in the 90s. It was always very, very fun.
Wow.
Integrity shows.
Man, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it was insane. But
integrity shows. I got integrity tattooed on my finger, and people.
Do you really?
Yeah, I have integrity on my ring finger as victory. Like a.
They're on victory.
It has a dual purpose, but yeah, it's not the band first and foremost. It's definitely the foundation and dedication and metaphor on my ring finger saying integrity.
That's amazing.
Definitely in the back of my mind, it's like if I punch someone with this integrity tattoo, as it's flashed,
make sure that this finger is pointing out just a little bit more.
No, I don't want to punch anyone.
Because if I recall, integrity, brief tangent, but. They were a straight edge hardcore band, right?
Yeah.
And you're now a very world renowned bartender.
Yeah, but I was never a straight edge kid. I much as like I can like tip my cap to those kids and whatever you need to do to get through like a youth point. It's like youth sucks, man. For certain people, it's just harder than others, and you need different ways to carry yourself through. And if like that keeps you on the straight path, awesome. Like I was lucky enough to have like focus while not putting that label on myself and still having like kid fun with my friends. But like, yeah, I didn't need that to stay the course.
Right. It didn't define you.
Yeah. No,
a lot of people, it really does define them.
Yeah, that's definitely something in the hardcore scene. But I think that by and large, like the motivation behind it itself is genuine, and like you just wanna live a straight lifestyle. But at the end of the day, if anyone beyond even straight edge, it's like if someone's forcing that down your throat, no one likes anything. And views being just like, shoved into your face. Like, that's just why. Yeah, exactly.
It's horrible.
So straight edge, I had a lot of awesome straight edge friends, and then I had a bunch of straight edge kids that I probably wasn't hanging out with because they were just like that preachy kid, and I was just not into it. So
it's crazy. So did you ever think about? So you say you weren't really playing, but you were kind of more involved with the live scene.
Yeah, I was definitely like involved with like helping friends promote. Definitely like hanging out practice. I jammed at home with myself, and I would write a little bit of music here and there. But yeah, I was just being like active and a part of it. That was my group of friends.
That's crazy. Anybody that was really notorious during those periods you love to see?
I've always been a huge Converge fan. That's all the way through. So any time, especially back then, it seemed rare that they would come through, especially that I would have the option to go and do it. They would play in LA or maybe even San Francisco, and I would have school or something. So that was hard, but
luckily they got back together because they were broke up.
They're touring all the time now, man.
Yeah.
I'm mad at them though right now. They're playing their whole Jane Doe album in Europe instead of somewhere in the United, nowhere, and they gave it like a month and a half advance. Like hypothetically, if you give me 5 months, I might fly somewhere to Europe just to see it and like make a trip out of it. But yeah, I had a bone to pick, but that's just me being a loyal fan and not able to go.
Were you a Refused guy too?
Huge Refused fan. I saw them when they went on their revamp tour.
Right? Oh man, it's insane.
I was actually going to go to Coachella once. My girlfriend hates me saying this because she goes a lot, but I
went to. We've all done it.
I have never gone. I probably will eventually. But
you know how real quick. You know how we were talking about sun headaches.
Yeah.
So it all ties back. That's where I got the fucking sun headache. Was at Coachella in 2004.
I can imagine, dude. Oh gosh, it doesn't seem like there's much shade being spared.
There's no shade.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just have to buy like ice pops and Gatorade. That's all they have, and like bottled water.
Not good. Not gonna work. And people are making a living off of the water bottle selling. She's told me crazy stories.
Mercedes.
Yeah.
The guy, they're banking it. Anyway, so you did get to catch him though, as Refused kind of.
Yeah, and I was gonna book down to Coachella, and then they ended up saying like, hey, we're gonna play some shows because that was the first year Coachella went 2 weekends. So in between. Lots of people were going up and down the coast, like Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, back to LA, so that they could just max out in between the 2 weeks. Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
so
right.
Refused ended up playing a show which was so much better than a Coachella lineup I could have wished for. They played with, the Hives co-headline for them, which was awesome.
That's where I saw.
And the Bronx played the open for them, too? And all those bands can steal the show from one another, but there was like a huge momentous thing, like the Refused, like what was it? It was like not a banner, but it was like a big curtain that had like the Refused thing in it, and it was up there forever. We're just standing there like,
oh man,
oh my god, it's been 40 minutes. They're just torturing us, and then sure enough, it dropped, and it was just mental. I have a video of me front flipping off of like a 12-foot cab on stage for that. I actually looked at my friends and I was like, if they play Rather Be Dead, or when they play Rather Be Dead, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, I'm literally going to climb across all these people's heads and jump off of that stage. And they were like, yeah, whatever. They didn't believe it. And as soon as that note rings out, it's like dun 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 dun. And then just like they just immediately saw me just like levitate up over the top of people, walking across shoulders, and climb onto this thing. And I had a friend tag me in a YouTube video, like, I think this is you front flipping off of the cab on stage. And it definitely set off like a chain of a lot of other people waiting for that right moment to just like,
oh, that's amazing.
Maybe get kicked out, but really just to risk it all.
That was the only clip I took of the show. Yeah, playing "Rather Be Dead." It was just because
I got goosebumps sitting here right now.
Absolutely,
you can't,
absolutely.
It's crazy.
And I went and I visited my friend in New York, and they're playing in Williamsburg. I'm like, awesome, great. Mm-hmm. The worst storm they'd seen in years. The show got rained out. I flew out to New York just for the show.
My heart is breaking right now for you, even though I wasn't even there.
But contingency plan. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, you know what? We should go to Montreal too. So the trip was New York and Montreal, and we caught him in Montreal at this small theater. And there you go, the same kind of hair-raising moment.
It makes up for it all in the end, where you get a more intimate experience.
Life-changing, totally life-changing.
Yeah, especially because it's just like, I mean, actually, I never asked, how old are you?
I'm 36 now.
Okay, so like if you were a baby who had someone knowing to take you on their one U.S. tour where they quit in the middle of it, you might have seen them. Maybe
you would have never seen them.
We never thought it was going to happen.
And not and this doesn't make me cool, but we were listening to the kids wearing Vans. We're listening to Refused in '97.
Right.
Like we were, but they never came to Houston.
No. And the thing is, like, I mean, even if they would have on that tour, they never made it because of their famous like falling out in D.C. or wherever it was, in like Richmond. I don't even remember, But yeah, it's just like a thing that you never think is going to happen when it finally is like there. It's not even abstract. It's in your hands and you're just like, this is unbelievable. It was so special, man. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things I'll look back on as top 3 shows I've ever gone to in that realm. Like I've seen some amazing other shows and stuff that's really spectacular and awe-inspiring, but for emotions and for like history and stuff that makes you who you are, like that's a hard one to top.
Full circle. Same thing. I got to see Quicksand recently too. Oh yeah. At a small show also, and I was like,
great.
Life just it brought me back because I remember how many times I missed them when I was 16. Mm-hmm. You know, in Salt Lake City, and like I can't go to shows. I'm not allowed to go out on Thursday nights. And
as a fellow hardcore kid or punk kid, whatever you want to call it, the constant line is, "Well, they'll be back again soon." And then
now that's totally true.
And sometimes they don't, though. And that absence is like, you never know whether it's going to happen. So like,
I mean, Black Flag even though it wasn't Henry Rollins, which is fine, right? But Black Flag got back together.
That's a debate one. I was never a big Black Flag fan. I guess you can pull my punk card, but I wasn't. I just was never much of a big fan. I definitely, ironically enough, became a big Dead Kennedys fan long after I already had DK as a nickname. It was a very funny thing. But
I never made that. That's totally the same thing.
Yeah, and
and you're in San Fran. Jello's still in San Fran.
Yeah, he is. I think.
Man, and I think once Fugazi gets back together, it's all done.
Yeah.
Then I'll hang my shirt up and go home.
What? I don't know that they. I probably am hallucinating. I thought they did announce something like maybe Fugazi or something's like playing again soon, or it might have been someone else just as important to me.
At the drive-in was another one, right?
But did you hear what happened?
Jim Ward left again.
Right, the day before their first show. My friends are in Europe and they're pretty gutted about it.
Do you have any idea why he left? I haven't heard anything.
I read a bunch of speculation. I think a lot of it has to do with there's time lost, right? And then you're going with this full idea of like, let's bring it back and let's write an album, and that's hard to do, especially when you've had
4 Sparta records that they finished. Like
you have to understand like that it's hard to go back after you've evolved from that musically. It's hard to go back when you've evolved from it personally. It's just like to be objective and understand it's like, I don't know, I'm not that artist. So
it's like an ex-girlfriend, right?
Exactly.
Time and place, like it totally captured.
I can agree with that.
And that nostalgia only lasts so long. So that's why those one-off shows really worked.
Yeah.
Because they played here, and I'll never forgive myself for missing the show here.
Fair.
I was out of the country.
But I don't think any of us would.
Still pulling my hair out about it. But this is good. So the music, you're involved with this. This kind of explains. I think that's one of the reasons I knew that we would get along too. I just had this feeling.
There you go.
Sometimes. And we're drinking bourbon, which is always... the great unifier.
It breaks the bonds down.
It totally does.
It builds the bonds. It breaks down the barriers.
The walls. This is some Scorpions shit.
Yeah, right so good.
So you're in high school. It sounds like you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, man, I was making way too much money for a 16-year-old kid to know how to do with, and then that transitioned into serving at that same restaurant. I had a massive falling out with the restaurant because of just other employees and very big like factioned out things. It's kind of common in a lot of places, but the management didn't handle it properly. They terminated me, which is a very funny thing. Then I actually went back and got like my unemployment, and on top of it, I got wrongful termination back, and there was a lot of like, it was a rough time, man. It sucked because they pulled the rug out from underneath me, and I always tend to give myself a lot to wherever it is that I'm clocking in, like on a week. I don't know.
Were you
like
still in high school
5.
when you they let
Yeah.
you go? Okay. Or did you
Shoot,
finish?
oh gosh, it's been so long now. I can't even remember. I should know these things immediately. But yeah, I was either right. No, I was right out of high school because I graduated early. And I was right out of high school, got let go. I ended up going and working at an Italian restaurant for a handful of weeks. And then only enough, my girlfriend at the time, actually, she just pulls the rug out from underneath the relationship. We're gone. That's over.
She said she was pregnant.
No, thank goodness. Oh my gosh. Wipes the sweat off his forehead. No, but it's just like life happened. You're a young kid. You think you're in love and it's awesome. And then all of a sudden she bails and you're like, shit, this is not cool. And like the plan was to go to San Francisco. And I was like, screw it, I'm doing it alone, right? So anyway. I go out there and I turn in one application. I'm like out there with the aim of like turning in this whole stack of applications that I
having to work really hard for.
In my fit of emotional rage, here I am going to go and do this by myself. So I turn in one application out of maybe 20 that I have printed out. And that would be at another Chicago pizza restaurant that was starting in San Francisco. It's so weird, man. It's so serendipitous along the way. It's like a lot of the things,
like graduating from Harvard Business School.
I mean, I guess I don't know. And then like
Chicago Pizza School, man.
Yeah, and like
crazy.
So, and they hired me immediately. They said, "We're opening this new location. We're basically going to make this like our flagship location as we grow more throughout the Bay Area." Uh-huh. And I was like, "Cool." They're like, "We need a really solid person, and we really like the idea of bringing you on because you require zero training." And I said, "Yeah, that's right, I do." So
this was what year are we talking when you?
This is. Maybe 2009, 10. Okay. Yeah, like right before and around I turned like 20 years old. And that ended up like spurring this thing where they called me back a couple weeks later. And like I was saying, they call me in, they say, "We want to interview you." And I was actually going to Berkeley for a hardcore show at the Gilman the day before. And they go, "We want you to come in tomorrow. Is that possible? Can you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm driving my car to Berkeley right now and then home and then back here. Okay, like I'll be there for sure." Yeah. So I like walk in, they give me the job on the spot. I work there for a while. Those things like fall apart as well, like not as dramatically as the other space, but then that's when I jumped on the road with my friends. I was in Santa Cruz a lot. I was unemployed, kind of just like exploring the options of where I could go and maybe the idea of leaving San Francisco. Were you living in San Francisco? Yeah, I was in San Francisco. Now that was probably 2 years into San Francisco. Now that job ends, and so yeah, you're at that point where it's like, yeah, this could definitely be home for a while, or I could just like
do whatever the hell I want,
whatever, and go somewhere. And it's funny because while being in Santa Cruz a bunch, and I would go back to San Francisco for maybe like 1 week out of the whole month. I was hanging out with my friends and just having a great time down just like an hour south. And out of nowhere, as I'm actually making the move, my foot is halfway out the door. I'm moving to Austin, Texas. Here I come, right? Like my friend had got me down, already started my like yearly trips. I'd already been paying visits, fallen in love with Austin. I'm like, the parallels I'm drawing, like we talked about in San Francisco and Sacramento and this place that I'm kind of like really starting to endear. I go, I have nothing holding me here. I have 2 months notice I have to give at my month-to-month place for my lease. Like I can just split out of here. So I was literally, I think, a week away from giving my notice at my place just to leave and then move to Austin, just like hightail it out.
And your friends
to Texas.
were here, or they were saying they want to move here?
No, my friends are already here. Yeah, I have a really healthy group of friends, like all from that music community that have been down here.
Like really?
Yeah.
Because I bet we have some of the same friends in that respect.
They might be a little younger, but at the same time, there's always like 2 degrees of separation. In the hardcore community, it's always much smaller than 6 or 7. So
that's insane. We're gonna talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, that can get into drama too. So like I have my foot halfway out the door, and I'm like gonna move to Texas. And I was helping a friend, Crash, Andrew Calisterio, another bartender who's really phenomenal from Sacramento as well. So we met when he was like networking himself for this competition, followed him since then, had drinks and became friends. And he was staging at Maven. And I go in with Andrew's younger brother. I'm still unemployed. I was home from Santa Cruz, ironically. Yeah, I was 21.
Okay.
At this point, I'm 21.
Okay.
This is like well past like the 2 years that would have taken me to hit my legal age.
Yes.
And so I end up going into Maven to see him, and he told me and his younger brother specifically, like, don't come in and like pay me the visit because I'm being trained right now and I don't want a bunch of distractions.
Yeah,
and I'm not like set into place yet. I kind of want to get my bearings before I have a bunch of people visiting me. And that's totally understandable. Like, respect, dude. You don't want to have people bombarding you and making your place think that you're going to be the one who brings in your friends and stuff all the time. But we kind of went against it, and it was totally fine because it wasn't anything stressful. It was like definitely him just trying to like
get his bearings,
do more diligence than like overstep boundaries.
Gotcha,
you know.
Okay.
And sure enough, we go in, and it was calm enough for us to hang out, end up having a drink, and I start talking with Kate Bolton, the bar manager at Maven at the time, who is just like phenomenal. She's her and Andrew collectively are like my first two mentors I ever had behind the bar.
Really?
But then
but up to this point, like, had you thought about
cocktails
booze as a smart kind of intricate thing?
No, I mean, I was looking at audio engineering. I was looking at lots of different options, but almost all of them led me out of the restaurant industry eventually. It was not going to be something that I was going to stay in.
So it was almost unlikely that you would end in it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd been in it for so long, and it was something that had given so much to me, but I was kind of going to eventually segment that out into something different or greater, which I think a lot of people eventually do, or something like this happens where there's a catalyst where you just fall in love with this industry, which is so easy to become passionate about.
You just put a new hat on, right? It's like a new facet of it. I mean, seriously.
It's not quite that easy, but yeah, I guess you definitely change the outfit and you learn what you need to know.
New scene.
Oh yeah.
Same movie,
absolutely.
New scene. You know?
Definitely, yes. It's definitely a different outfit, and you definitely evolve from it for sure. So there I was, and I was like, I had zero intentions of working at Maven. I was just really there to kind of bother Andrew while we were in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And I go home. Andrew was crashing with me because he was literally doing like most of the week in Sacramento, and then he would come to San Francisco, work that job, and then go back to Sacramento. He was like living and crashing at my place for the 2 days a week while he was at Maven, which was awesome. He's like, great kid, loved having him around, and he's like very, very like just contagiously fun. So here I go into Maven, and I get a text message the next day that was from Andrew. It was a screenshot saying, hey, do you think your friend would be interested in a bar backing position? I'm losing one of our opening staff members that has basically been like our go-to guy for that, and we need to fill the slot. He's got experience in restaurants. He seems very trainable. What do you think about bringing him on? And he just didn't even lazily just screenshots it and sends it to me. And then he screenshots an email as well from our founder and owner, Jay. And it was basically something saying to all front and back of house, like, hey, if you have any potential people who could come in and work, we need these 2 positions filled. Yeah. But particularly for the bar back, we just need someone who can really work it out. It's really demanding. And the only other requirement is that they have a better haircut than Andrew Calisterio, the new hire. And I laugh because he's one of my closest friends, and he's also the same barber. Our friend Anthony cuts our hair, so I just email him back. I emailed Jay, and I was like, hey, I would love to set up an interview with you. But I'm a friend of Andrew's. I have a background in a restaurant, and I get my hair cut by the same guy, and it looks a lot better. So I kind of hit it off, and luckily for me, things fell into place at one of the more premier cocktail bars in San Francisco. So like I said, so
tell me, I've been to San Francisco multiple times. Mm-hmm. Went to a couple bars there, but what is Maven like in an elevator pitch kind of way? Like, what is it really offer?
In the quick pitch I usually get, it's a neighborhood bar and restaurant which has very, very hyper seasonal ingredients. Like, our chef literally goes to the farmer's market and starts cultivating his concepts from what he's seeing from his very, very close network of farmers. Mm-hmm. And then with that inspiration in mind, either on his end or maybe it starts on our end with cocktails, we try to create a pairing with these synonymous flavors and then make it exciting for both the food and the drink to have either a balancing or very shared aspect of their flavor profile.
Wow, so how often were you switching the menu out for the cocktails at that point?
I mean, it's still pretty constant. We probably get a new one on maybe every month, but especially as you see the seasons changing, which means that the produce is changing, you're going to see a lot of our stuff just up and go, at least on the cocktail end. Yeah. But there's a few things that have been on since we opened. They're not going to come off because they're just tried and true, and they pair with things that don't come off the menu, like our burger, for example, or whatever. Right. So it's you're not really... You don't have to change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
right. So what was that transition like then from being? So presumably you get the job. He likes your jokes. He likes your haircut.
I did. Luckily.
Luckily, because it's just marginally better than Andrew's, probably, right? Yeah. But so you get in there, you're doing bar backing stuff. What's that conversation like where you really do start taking it serious, or even don't take it serious behind the bar?
It was contagious. I think that anyone else who gets inspired and like just roped into this industry and starts loving it, they'll agree that it's just so contagious. You have someone who can explain it to you or bring you this education on a level that excites you. And if it's something that you care about, and like who shouldn't care about having good drinks and food, like it's stuff that sustains us. So knowing more about it and like understanding it better was exciting to me. I really liked that. So
is it the whole ecosystem of food and flavors that was exciting? Was it booze specifically?
Everything. The ecosystem and food and actually like having a great relationship with where that comes from is something I really deeply care about, but it speaks to things that I like morally care about so much. Like I really love engaging with people and having genuine interactions and also making them happy. And then it also has a little bit to share with the music world, where you certainly are on a bit of a stage and like selling yourself in a way to certain people on a nightly basis.
You're performing, you really are.
Yeah, you are. And it's like, and not to say that you should, a lot of people might argue that some people breathe too much into that and it takes over them, but I think that you represent the space that you're in, but you very much are your individual brand, and people get to either like that or dislike it, and it's just as much as any other interaction that they could decide on really quickly. So I just want to bring people in. It's like sometimes, I mean, it's been said time and time again, but like finding the right drink is probably one of the most exciting parts of it all.
So finding the right one that pairs for that person,
that moment, that time of day, because it's like someone comes in with a grumpy look on their face or whatever, and they sit down at the bar and they're not really easy to engage or whatever. You can't be that bubbly, hey, like I'm scripted and I got this thing.
Almost have to like match it.
Yeah, you got to bring them in, and you got to bring them to a comfort level, because at the end of the day, like there is no not having fun. Like we're here to have fun. The booze is there to like bring us together and have a great time. So if you come in and you're not at the right mindset, it's like the goal is to get you there. But if you come in, you're in the right mindset and you're celebrating, you're already there. Like we need to keep you bubbly. Like get something with bubbles in there. So it's like I really love like the constant like almost algorithm of finding what suits this person right now.
You're a drink like a matchmaker.
I think we all should be, right? Like we should never like just like, sometimes you just want your Negroni, and that's awesome because it's just a great cocktail and you know it's again tried and true. But sometimes maybe you had something that shook you up and you want to try something new. You're not a rum guy, but you want to try rum tonight. Like I love when people come in with that bone to pick or that tick. They're just like, oh, something new this time.
It's kind of like a nice equation for you to work out.
Yeah, and again, that's another challenge that really like makes sure whether you can execute that. And if you don't do it right, you learn from it and then come back better next time.
Did you find that kind of transition? How was the training for you behind going from being like a bar backer?
Lucky. Maven we don't have a 2:00 liquor license. We have a neighborhood 12:30 liquor license, or excuse me, midnight liquor license, where we have to pull drinks and we do last call at 11:30. You have till midnight, which is a sufficient amount of time to finish your drinks, but it lets me get out early and go hang out with people afterwards. But the training beyond the easier schedule than lots of other bartenders have was actually great, man. Like it wasn't very like militant. Like sometimes I'll hear lots of contrast from like chefs who are very like almost like French training, are very like kind of stressful to work around. Kate is one of the most like calm tempered people, and definitely can like bring you to a level where you just understand things on a very, very like huge level. She just doesn't really like leave it half-assed there. She just wants you to get it. And Andrew's like as much, if not more, that where he is like, you ask him about a particular liqueur or a story behind something, and you better have like, how much time do you have? Because this guy's gonna talk your ear off until you're like,
for a couple
enough
hours,
knowledge. Thank you, sir. Like it's so that sort of mentorship was something that is so valuable. I think it's definitely helped me like grow and like take notes from two people that taught me so much, and take certain things from both of them, and as well add myself into the mix and make myself who I am behind the bar right now. Yeah. So it's cool.
So how long, or are you still at Maven?
Yes, I am at Maven. How many years? I just passed 3 years with Maven. That was in the beginning or middle of January, and Maven is at just over 4. So I'm cool. that.
So you're pretty close to starting it off.
Yeah, I was like that first wave of second hires. Like you have your opening staff, everyone stays for about a year, and every once in a while you'll have some fall off. So I was that first wave for the bar teams. It's like second hires. Like Andrew was that, I was that. So I would say that like we were lucky, but also Maven like lucked out with like Andrew, man. That's like, he's an awesome
really
dude.
good
He's gone
talent.
down to Phoenix and won best bartender down there. So
Oh,
he's
that's
like, he's made a name for himself everywhere he's gone. So like, yeah, to learn with that was super valuable. Kate she had a can of tomatoes from Eater SF saying best bartender in SF previous year. So like, I had a bunch of accolades around me to learn from, and I took it.
Is it humbling?
It was extremely humbling, man. And if I wasn't, like, there was a couple times where I had to be humbled. Like, I think everyone in this industry thinks that they're getting to a point where they're comfortable with, and that they got it now. And it's like, I still don't got it. Like, I still am learning so much, you know. Like, and they taught me that there's never ending learning process.
It's the same thing, right? If the whole purpose of life is to learn, which is one of the main objectives, right?
Well, of course.
You don't stop. You can't stop.
And the booze is changing. Like, I mean, sometimes the product's changing, and you really have to adjust. Like, your citrus or your produce, everything isn't always the same, and that's something that, like, over time, like, I really needed to understand certain things like that, and I needed to understand like how certain interactions and then certain things were right and wrong, even with like service and how you're doing it and like pouring the bottles and like everything was like, it's a laundry list of things, and as you start prioritizing things, you really realize that like eventually you can perfect them all, but you got to have like a very good order of operations before you can become a great bartender.
Have you got into and this is in this case not a derogatory remark, but like, have you got into the Daniel time, like being the mixologist, no matter how shitty of a word that is, but being like people that they consider notably one of the best in San Francisco?
No, I don't think so, man. I think that San Francisco is one of the most blessed city in the country, if not the world, for the cocktail scene. Like the competition is so fierce, and I think that's what makes me better, like Daniel right now. I think that the inspiration from like bar teams all around town, like, I mean, ABV, Bear versus Bull just opened this year, and like the stacked lineups with them, Trick Dog, I mean, I could go on forever, and they're all great friends, and you get to go in, you get to watch them do their thing and their show and their atmosphere, and you get to take something from that, and that like inspires me so much to like get on that level, because it's like the level is high, and I realize that in 3 years, like it's I've definitely come a decent way, and like this is a huge move for me. This is my first guest shift somewhere outside of Maven, and so it's nerve-wracking, but I definitely like, I aim to want to be there, man. It's like, of course, I'm in this industry, I love it, I'm invested in it, and I aspire to go there for sure, but I definitely don't think I'm there yet. No.
Is it something, do you ever think about where it's ultimately going to lead you?
Yeah.
Do you think that you want to start
there's
a brand?
options. I mean, I'm open to lots of ideas, and again with that, like I've done a decent amount of traveling in my 3 years now, being very inspired with spirits and cocktails. But I think that as I travel more, those things will become more clear to me. Like, who knows? Maybe I go to France and I just get inspired by people making cognac or Armagnac, and I come back like, I gotta make some brandy, or like something like that might happen.
Never know,
but at the end of the day, right now, I'm in the fortunate position to be able to save money in San Francisco, which is lucky for me.
What are you saying?
I know. Shh, don't tell those people. There's lots of things that need to be edited out of this podcast. But yeah, like I'm lucky to have that going for me right now. So eventually, if nothing else comes to fruition, I want to open my own bar or restaurant and invest in that risk and in that excitement. But I mean, if someone were to come along and say, hey, we really like the cut of your jib, and like your knowledge is like very, very enthusiastic.
Someone that comes from the 50s.
And we want you that says cut of your jib. And like, we want you, like, you embody our product really well. We might want you to sell that. That's something I'm open to. If it's something that as a product, I would be like happy with selling, and I can get behind morally. I think that that's always something I'm open to. But again, like, I try not to think too much like as far as hypothetically, and I definitely think like when those things like knock on my door or on the bar in front of me, like I'll
happen at that point, right?
I'll take it as it comes. And
you can't ever know.
But right now, like, my main thing is just like keeping my face in the books and like really knowing as much as possible about the constantly growing world of spirits and people making drinks with them. So I think
is there a spirit right now that, you know, these are like one of these Phil Donahue questions, kind of, if you guys remember who that guy is. But, so, is there something that's kind of particularly intriguing to you right now, spirit-wise? I mean, I always go back to agave because it's just, there's so much diversity. But
yeah, there's definitely a ton of diversity in agave. But I do like, especially being young, this goes back to how like new I am to the thing. I really love finding the enthusiasm in something that I don't know a lot about. Yeah. Like, and something I'm really unfamiliar with, or especially like I don't maybe enjoy at that first glance. Like rum like of course, like everyone goes, oh, I had a bad experience with gin, or like I drank way too much rum once and the hangover was something I'll never drink again. This is like the bane of every bartender's conversation with a guest. But I think that kind of translates into, for me now, like things that I just don't get. Like, and I think aquavit is something lately that I've been super like motivated to learn more about, because there's crazy stuff going on that like we don't get a lot of import from it. But like I had actually a coworker from Maven who now moved to Austin. I want to come out tomorrow. His name's Alex Gundlach, but his stage name, he's a great DJ. His name's Al Lover.
Really?
It's like with you mush together, it's all over. He's a really awesome dude. Great person to work around, and just
sounds like he would know about aquavit.
Yeah, and he does. He toured in Europe with his music, and he brought back a metal. He DJs like psychedelic. He DJs like psychedelic house music, which is actually really not my typical thing. I don't like the DJ scene, or I'm not like too much into synthesized music, but I really dig his kind of like his infusion of lots of very like classic rock and roll style of things. But it's a different conversation. But yeah, he was traveling through Scandinavia and basically brought back apple aquavit, and I was like, this is really crazy.
Like apple brandy based
one? And the whole entire label, everything's in, I think it was Norwegian, and I'm like, this is something that's so exciting, because I didn't even know that you could make it from that.
I had no idea.
You know what I mean? And it has such a
like
different flavor. It has a rich color to it, like other aged ones, and this like kind of made me have this realization, like, you're an idiot. You don't know anything about aquavit. Go learn something. Go like stick your head in the book. So that one has been something I've been excited about over the past year. My heart definitely lives with, we're a whiskey town in San Francisco, just like the rest of the world, it seems like lately, but very big into Pisco. But again, I think that my enthusiasms come in trends. It's like either something I don't know about, or again, going back to seasonalities. I think that obviously like agave with warm weather and like heat translates really well.
It's like Bowie having his phases, right? So you have like the more kind of modern 80s phase where we're going to tighten up.
Did you just put me to Bowie?
I'm just saying, like
great. Tastes. I'm blushing.
There's this Ziggy Stardust thing where it's like, man, I'm just drinking a bunch. I don't even know what that would be. I feel like that might even be agave. Something that's really rough and tumble. It's not too refined, but yet wild and very talented. You know what I mean? Nuance. So I don't know, but I like that, because we do go through those phases, and sometimes it's seasonal. You think about bourbon with warmer, or rather colder weather.
Oh man, I'm gonna interject. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, man. No, dude. The thing that I've been doing a lot lately is like vermouth. I love vermouth. Fortified wine and fortified aromatized wines are just exciting, because you get such a spectrum to deal with, huge. And especially as we're getting more and more of them now, and people are making them in the United States, there's just so much terroir involved that you can like, you just literally could have, even now if you add that into your Negroni, what have you, like the cocktail has these evolutions, or maybe even different variations within themselves that you really can kind of fine tune your favorite.
Crazy.
It's cool.
It's marginal, but yet those little small tweaks, that's what perfect a cocktail.
Yeah.
You think you've had a Manhattan, but if you do it in a certain way, using wild turkey rare
reverse
breed.
Manhattans, man. Souther Teague, I think, was the guy who posted the recipe a couple weeks ago.
So is that just
Amoria Margot? Yeah, he does 2-to-1, like rye whiskey 1, 2 of Carpano Antica or your sweet vermouth, and it's like you can have a few more of them. Yeah. Why not? That's a perfectly fine idea.
Interesting.
If I can't think of something lately at the bar and I'm like sitting down for a dinner, maybe it's always just a vermouth cocktail, like straight sweet vermouth, dash or two of absinthe over ice, orange peel, done. It's
perfect.
So easy.
Well, so you talk about bourbon, and of course, there's always the daunting task of picking a bottle from the just huge rack downstairs. And I don't envy you guys that have to come in and kind of do it. But you picked an exceptional bottle, something that you said you hadn't tried before. This is the Michter's 20-year single barrel at 57.1 ABV. To me, it is everything you want, and it's heavy, but it's really alcoholic, but you cannot tell.
Yeah, it's definitely has beautiful, like, it's a calm, big, high ABV whiskey, and like you can definitely taste those, like the difference. And this is like the age does a lot to the typically beautiful Michter's blends that they put together. But
it's like
single barrel is just like
off stage.
What? Like the heat was not there that I expected. The flavor was leaps and bounds beyond what I would have expected, but. Yeah, I mean, I've ever had this year's release of the 10. So to go further back and like see more of the Michter's portfolio that maybe I haven't had the the luck to see yet. This is awesome, man. I saw your Pappies and I saw a bunch of other things, and I know the clout that goes with them. But at the end of the day, I know
this is better than that.
I know, and I know
this is better than that 20-year.
And you're gonna save some money on the price too at the end of the day.
You
So
the whiskey gray market is a place where people go to try to make money, and that's what's disheartening about it.
Yeah,
it's like I just want to.
Nothing against it, guys. Great juice, but I mean, there's and I understand because I live in Northern California where Pliny the Elder has done the same craze, where it's just like this pilgrimage, almost like you're going to Mecca to get your juice, and it's like I totally understand. There might be a little placebo effect to it. I would argue a lot.
There's a whole
because like. There's people out there that have been doing for a really, really long time, and their results are consistently good. And that also can translate into the conversation of there are so many great new craft distilleries. Genius Gin. You know what I mean? Like even all through the United States, you've got people opening up really great things. And not to say their products aren't good, but now all of a sudden this trend is to write off like the beef eaters and like the big producers who have been doing it for so long because their production is so high and their volume is too big. They feel like it tears away from this craft movement. And I'm like, no, that's a consistency movement. And that's what paved the way for all of these guys to do what's new and exciting for them. So
the only reason bourbon's good is because they can make a lot of it in the same way.
Yeah. And I don't think that Michter's falls into that beef eater category here, of course, but I think that's an argument that could be made. You know what I mean? Like there's people, it's just like, I don't know, size of production or allocation should not justify your choice in a whiskey. I think a good whiskey is just a really delicious whiskey, and this is just exceptional.
Yeah, it's really insane.
I saw your eyes light up when I grabbed it, so I knew that like I'm passing over bottles, and it was like they got wider. I was like, that's the one I'm grabbing.
I drink out of this one like once a year, maybe.
Okay,
yeah, cool. I had it for my birthday last year. That's like how special a bottle is.
Sweet, man.
Because I don't know when I'm going to see that one again. They had some of the 10-year single barrel ryes that came out back to market. Right. I'm really excited to try that one too. There's a 20-year rye, but anyway, I haven't been able to find that one. So it's a really good pick. And so, but the reason that we're all here is not, well, one, because you love Austin, which is great. You see your parents are in town too, which is awesome. Yeah. But you're doing a stage or a guest bartending stint at Townsend tomorrow night, April 7th. It's Thursday night from 4 to midnight. Is that right?
4 to midnight. Long shift. Yeah. I'm so excited, man. Yeah. But the thing is that it gives me like the one thing I really want to do is to see the whole thing. Like I don't want to just go in for a couple hours, set up my tools and go, because it's like, not that I think that anyone would dislike that from the either working side or the crowd enjoying it side. I just think that the better way to do it is like, if you're going to take yourself out of your element, take yourself all the way out of your element, go into their kitchen or commissary, bust out some syrups, like set up with them, close down with them, and do it all. Because otherwise, like, not to say it's half-assing in any other way. There's great events that you do, but for this one, it was very much like, right? Like, this was very much we wanted to do it like as an apprenticeship and like almost exchange program, more or less. Not like exchange very program, like literally, but like you get my metaphor, right? Will make you clean something. So that's why I wanted, and I was excited when they said 4 to 12. It also gives, the main thing I was really excited about is that gives the opportunity for all the dudes and ladies as well who are out working and maybe get off a little bit earlier. They get a chance to have the opportunity to come through and have a drink maybe on their way home.
And I hear there's three cocktails that you're working on. Is that right?
There are 3.
Yeah.
3. Yes. So one of them is going to be the shaken cocktail, bright botanist gin, delicious Isla gin with a little bit of like a raspberry gum syrup, fresh lemon juice, and then I've made basically like a nori foam that I'm going to be placing over the top of the cocktail. And it takes like the really tart acidity, brings like this salt and like sea flavor to it, which I think really relates to
talk about Isla. Right?
Yeah, the Isla orientation. So I think it's a great homage to that. And also like seaweed is like this cool like umami that if you introduce it the right way, it can definitely take something in a totally different direction, which I like was excited about, taking a weird ingredient and like throwing it into the mix. About it too. It's crazy. Yeah, I actually had to reach out
to make the foam.
I had to reach out. It's going to be soy lecithin. Don't sue me for butchering the name, but yeah, soy lecithin. It's like basically going to make like Vitamix up nori into like a ratio of water, strain off the excess, and then do like another ratio of the soy lecithin and then wand it, which like a immersion blender. Or I can also, I think I'm going to go out tomorrow morning and get like a really small cheap aquarium pump, so I don't have to stick anything in there. And I'm just going to put it in the other end and it'll just constantly be bubbling up for me. And if I run out, just add more of the mixture and bubble that up again.
So that's for your shaken, and you have a stirred.
I have two stirred. So one of them's like a Sazerac riff, like turned super on its head, where I'm gonna do like a 50-50 blend of Wild Turkey 101 rye and Metoxa 5-star. Which
the Greek influence coming in.
And that's gonna be cool. I think that like 101 rye is big. It's gonna make any drink pretty big. So I cut it down with like the really cool aromatic and like spice and like almost floralness from the Metoxa is going to come through cool, and that's going in with like a root beer syrup instead of simple gum.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like root beer spices. You got sassafras, sarsaparilla, licorice root, so on and so forth, and like that gum syrup carries like lots of flavors that love whiskey, and especially with like the subtle floralness of
rye too.
Metoxa. It comes like the spices love each other, so it's going to be fun. And then it actually has a Metoxa Uzu rinse, so this like
I'm also not surprised.
Crazy, like this crazy like
you guys gonna flying the Greek flag while you're working?
I don't know that one, I guess. Yeah, that cocktail's got a lot of the Greek stuff going on. So yeah, that one's called Hires Rosy Cheeks for like the rosiness of Metoxa.
Oh, nice.
Hire the guy who platformed like root beer like production in the United States. So it's a fun little pun, and we actually did a Hires root beer cocktail variation way back when I first started at Maven. So that definitely is the inspiration for this weird one. But
and then one more stirred.
The last one's like a Manhattan take. It's got the Bruichlatte's Port Charlotte.
Oh, cool.
Heavily peated, so it's got tons of peat to it, and then it has the Cointreau chamomile and a little bit of Nocino orange bitters stirred. Just like a simple, really like lighter Manhattan take.
That's gonna be really nice. A little more texture too, especially that Nocino.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like at first I've done variations with it with other whiskeys and other liqueurs or cordials to kind of balance out the Nocino and Scotch. But with the chamomile, I definitely had to change it all up. And the Nocino, it started getting way far away from the way I'm used to making variations or that cocktail that I'm kind of familiar with. So I tweaked it a bunch and made it out for this event that I'm really like pleased with it. Nathan Burdett actually helped me with it. Bless his heart. Thank you, Nathan.
So you're here. So when are you taking off? When are you leaving?
I'm actually leaving Friday afternoon. So I'll be leaving later in the day Friday. I think the flight is at like 5:00. So I'll have a good amount the day after to potentially recover from afterwards of a guest
shift. If Jeff Foley is working, you're going to have to be recovering. Just put that out there.
Yeah, and then
if you see a dude with an awesome mustache besides Justin, it looks like he's been some places. Just that's your night. You're in for it.
All right, fair enough. Noted. So yeah, like that'll be cool. And plus, like, will give us time to like it's not like I'm losing a day, but you don't want to use your last day in Austin as like a working thing. Wake up and leave. You kind of would feel remitted if you had that happen. So I want my girlfriend to have a really fun last day. We're gonna
what are some of the things that are on the list, like these quintessential maybe Austin landmarks?
Well, she's never been, so I've done a handful of them before. Like I love going down to Barton Springs. Like my friends show me to like make sure there's no cops around and jump off the bridges into the river, and like I love like that end of this town. So I definitely want to get her onto like a kayak maybe and like go out onto the river and do like Ladybird Lake maybe. But also, like, she's never seen I'm not sure what the actual name of it now is, but the open graffiti market on the west side, or the open graffiti gallery on the west side.
On Street, right?
Yeah, exactly. And she's never seen that. My parents really like it too, and they're in town, so I'm going to take them by to check it out because they're like, oh, I bet all the political stuff is freaking rampant on that thing. So I
don't know, man. I remember it being kind of like more secular. I don't know that there was. Now this could have changed because I used to live over there, but
yeah. Well, when I first went there, it was a massive. The whole thing was a Shepherd Ferry Obey thing. So I mean, I don't know. It could go both ways, and since it's an open gallery, it could change more than I'm used to seeing because I'm only here once a year. So, but yeah, I think I don't know. That's on the list. What else? I mean. Shoot, she's never done a lot of stuff. So I want to go to Spider House Cafe. I want to go to like my usual spots, man. Like I really love this town for the eating and drinking, and she likes to be tagging along for those things. So the experiences that she needs are going to be the experiences that I like love to relive already.
Fill your cup of spiritual enlightenment.
Gosh, I can't wait for my iced Irish coffee at Spider House.
I mean, a lot of memories at Spider House.
Yeah, it's a great space. My mom loves the space too. I sent her a picture the first time I ever came to Austin. I was like, look at this. Like, look at this antique yard of seating. Like, does this not look like something that you would put together yourself? And she's like, take me there. 3 words.
Well, it's good, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to kind of catching up tomorrow too. I'm going to try each of the cocktails. I coincidentally, because I didn't know you were in town until probably just this week, and there was this weird typo about it. Everyone said it clear. It's tomorrow. It's Thursday, April 7th.
Actually, my roommate pointed it out to me. He said, like, hey, the article reads Friday. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. So I got on the horn with Justin and Nathan. They fixed it pretty quick. So... I mean, with press people and everyone else, they knew right away, like, oh shoot, whoop, and it's fixed already. So I'm excited. So
the confusion's prepared and we're all really excited. Like 3 cocktails, they sound.
Yeah, it was gonna be 3 and a Boilermaker combo. We don't know if it's gonna happen. Yeah, I was gonna do one that was gonna be called the SF eviction notice, and it was gonna be like a shot of one of their high profile Scotch whiskeys, maybe like Octomore or Black Art, like 1 ounce, and then do like a tall can of Lone Star for the eviction notice. I don't know if they're gonna buy it because it's not my product, but I don't know. It definitely created the laughs I wanted in the reaction and the suggestion alone. So
I know you're gonna get along with all those guys.
I'm excited.
Just a bunch of goobers.
Yeah, man. Especially it's fun, like going in, like being like, all right, like definitely don't take it easy on me. Like show me how it is. Like don't do. Yeah,
I guess you're running risk of that too. You'll be the youngest one back there.
Oh well, I mean that's not at least anything new to me. No, that's not new to me. I can definitely be the younger guy back there.
It'll get. I'm just what.
As long as they don't give me noogies, I'm good.
beyond wanting to try the drinks, I just want to see him give you shit. That's why I'm gonna sit there, just be up front and watch him give you shit.
Things that I didn't anticipate, and now I'm like, all right.
Or maybe this is just like a psych out, like a pseudo psych out.
I'm okay with it, man. It's all the more fun, especially I'm gonna have jitters when I get back there, regardless. But it'll settle in real quick, just like anything else. So
it's gonna be good, man.
It's gonna be fun. I'm so excited, especially to have it happen for the first time in a town that I love so much. It's just like seems right, so I'm stoked.
I think you're gonna have a great turnout. I think that it's gonna be a good response.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
It's been a pleasure chatting. Thanks for sharing some bourbon with me, or giving me an
your
excuse
bourbon.
to crack
it's not,
it.
You're sharing it with me.
giving me an excuse to crack it open again. Besides that one time a year, so I'm looking forward.
I might try to crack it for a second splash if we have time.
yeah. But no, I think we can.
We'll shoot the shit off the mic. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, man, DK, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me in, dude. It was really good talking with you. I was like really excited when you kind of pitched the idea. I was like, let's do that.
Oh, I'm stoked, man. I'm so glad you're in town and like kind of making this happen after a couple of years.
Thanks, man. I'm super stoked. I'm glad this happened too. This is definitely some icing on the cake. Tomorrow's gonna be a lot of fun.
Cool. And I'll put this out tomorrow. It'll be the fastest I turn around something because I want people to come check out.
Yeah, cool. I'll blast it all over my Facebook and on the internet. Cool. So we'll try and get you guys out there too.
Well, we sound like a bunch of marketing geniuses. Let's end on that note.
So hi there.
All right, man. Thank you.
Good talking, Mike.
Well, there we have it. Another great chat, this time with DK, also known as Daniel Kutch from Maven in San Francisco. I really like talking about music. I'm sorry, guys. You just have to bear with me. I love talking about music, especially like talking about Converge, like talking about Refused, like talking about hairless cats, too. I don't know. There's something about it. This is the cutest cat I've ever seen. Eats a sandwich straight out of his hand late at night. I don't know. It's like the cat knows he's famous on Instagram. I'm not really sure. But the reason that we're talking here today is not only because Daniel Kutch is a wonderful personality and an upcoming youngster, if you will, at the ripe age of 25 out of San Francisco, but it is that Daniel is in town to do a guest bartending stint at the Townsend on Congress Avenue in Austin, Texas, this Thursday, April 7th, offering 3 Remy Cointreau-inspired cocktails and representing what is what should we call it, a brain trust of education and cocktail awareness known as Collectif 1806. I think these cocktails are going to be quite amazing, and I got to touch on it again, but a raspberry gum syrup, there's some nori foam, there's a root beer syrup. Hell, there's a little bit of something for everybody. Daniel will be at the Townsend tomorrow night, April 7th, this Thursday, from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Hopefully the guys behind the bar give him a hard time and encourage him to do his best. So thanks again, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter what you're feeding your hairless cat at 2 a.m., no matter what cocktails you're drinking off the new Drink While Spring menu, please keep dancing.